Welcome back, my wonderful coin lovers, treasure hunters, collectors, and curious explorers of hidden history. Today you are stepping into a story that begins with one of the most unexpected legends in the world of American numismatics, a legend so astonishing that it seems to defy logic, challenge imagination, and completely transform the way we look at a simple 1-cent coin. This incredible journey centers around the Liberty 1-cent 1975 D Lincoln penny, a coin most people have seen millions of times, a coin that still circulates in jars, drawers, old boxes, forgotten pockets and dusty corners. But hidden among these countless ordinary pieces is a version so spectacularly rare, so unbelievably unique and so profoundly valuable that it has risen to a valuation that would make even the rarest gemstones tremble in comparison. I am talking about a 1975 D Lincoln cent worth an extraordinary $558,000 million, an amount so far beyond the face value printed on the coin that the difference becomes a story in itself, a story wrapped in mystery, errors, minting mistakes, and anomalies that turn a humble penny into a once-in-a-universe treasure. Now imagine this moment with me. Because to truly understand the magic of such a coin, you must step inside the heart of the Denver Mint in 1975. The sound of heavy machinery pounding metal rings across the room like thunder. The scent of heated planchets fills the air. Copper-based bronze alloy is being rolled, cut, prepared, and polished. Massive presses strike with precision, yet sometimes with unexpected imperfections. Workers move quickly, handling thousands of planchets per hour. Every piece is supposed to look identical. Every 1975 D cent is meant to be nothing more than a small, simple, uniform element of America's circulating currency. But in this storm of production, in this high-speed environment where billions of coins must be created with nearly machine-like perfection, something goes wrong. A die misaligns. A mint mark is punched incorrectly. A planchet is not the right type. A crack forms in the die. The press strikes twice. The metal shifts. A strange anomaly takes shape. And suddenly, without anyone realizing it, a coin is born with a combination of errors so dramatic and so rare that it becomes the kind of piece that collectors dream about but never expect to see. The 1975 D Lincoln cent is a coin struck during the pre-zinc era, when cents were made from a bronze alloy consisting of 95% copper. That means each coin carries more weight, more depth, more metallic character compared to the lighter copper-plated zinc cents that would appear after 1982. Bronze cents, especially from the mid-1970s, often reveal their age through rich tones, deeper colors, shades of chocolate brown and sometimes bright red if preserved well. But the value of this extraordinary 1975 D cent comes not from its metal composition. It comes from the errors hidden within its surfaces, errors that change everything. Let us begin imagining the first possibility. Picture a double die obverse so strong, so pronounced, so dramatically spread that anyone looking at the date can instantly see thick shadows around the numbers, especially the 1, the 9, and the 5 in 1975. True double die errors occur on the die itself during hubbing. They are different from machine doubling. They are unmistakable, powerful, and rare. A double die on a 1975 D cent would already be incredibly scarce because 1975 is not a year known for such varieties. But imagine a double die of historic strength appearing on the face of Lincoln. That alone would make this coin priceless. Now imagine, just below the date, the mint mark D is repunched. In the modern era, mint marks were hand-applied to the die before it was used to strike coins. This process, though carefully done, still allowed small human errors. If the D was mispunched slightly off position, or punched twice, or punched diagonally first then corrected, the result is a rare repunched mint mark variety. Combine that with a double die and you have a coin of extreme rarity. But now imagine something even more astonishing. The mint mark is not only repunched but is misaligned in such a way that the separation between impressions is visible even without magnification. That becomes a once-in-a-lifetime variety, but this coin, the legendary multi-million $1,975 D cent, does not stop at one or two errors. It becomes valuable because of a combination of multiple impossibilities colliding in a single moment. Imagine a broadstrike error. This happens when the retaining collar that shapes the rim is missing or fails to hold the coin in place. The coin spreads out like a slightly oversized disc. A broad strike cent often looks like it melted slightly outward. Now picture this 1975 D cent being broadstruck while still carrying the double die and the repunched mint mark. Values begin to skyrocket, but then imagine this scenario: the planchet is wrong. A wrong planchet error is extremely rare. What if a leftover blank from a foreign contract coin accidentally entered the press? What if a dime-sized planchet slipped in? What if a transitional planchet from a previous experiment mistakenly found its way into the striking chamber? A 1975 D cent struck on a dime planchet, for example, would appear smaller, thinner, missing parts of its design. It would weigh only 2.27 grams instead of about 3.11 grams. That alone would make the coin worth tens of thousands. But this coin we are imagining is beyond that. It contains layers of rarity. Now imagine the coin was double struck. The die came down once, the coin bounced or rotated slightly, remained in the striking area and was hit again. Now two overlapping portraits of Lincoln appear, two sets of dates, two sets of lettering. A dramatic double strike is one of the most visually spectacular errors in numismatics. Then imagine that after these strikes, the die used to strike this coin had a crack along the top edge. That crack leaves a lightning-shaped raised line across the surface of the coin. A die crack combined with a double strike and a wrong planchet becomes nearly impossible, but there is more. Lamination errors. These occur when the metal mixture inside the planchet has impurities. The impurities cause the metal to peel or bubble. Imagine the coin having a peeling layer across Lincoln's shoulder or across the reverse wheat stalks or the memorial building. A dramatic lamination can make a coin one of a kind, and then there is off-center striking. Imagine the coin struck 40% off-center, revealing a crescent of blank metal and only part of Lincoln's portrait. Off-center strikes can be highly valuable, but when they appear with other major errors, they become priceless. Now imagine all of these in one coin. Imagine a 1975 D Lincoln cent with a double die obverse, a repunched mint mark, a wrong planchet, a double strike, a massive die crack, a broad strike, an off-center error and a dramatic lamination. If someone ever found such a coin, it would not simply be rare. It would be an artifact of impossible minting events. It would be a masterpiece of errors. It would be the centerpiece of any collection in the world, and the bidding wars for it would reach levels no one could even predict. That is where the unimaginable value emerges, the kind of value that climbs not to millions but to hundreds of thousands of millions. Now imagine how such a coin might be discovered. A person might be searching through a jar of old pennies left behind in an attic. They might be rolling coins to deposit at a bank. They might be searching at a flea market or sorting through a collection inherited from a relative. Suddenly, their eyes catch something strange. The rim looks wide. The coin looks too big. Or too light. Or too small. They pick it up. They tilt it under a lamp. They notice the doubling on the date. They see the mint mark is punched twice. They realize the metal color looks unusual, maybe lighter than copper. Their heart begins to race. They fetch a small scale. The weight does not match a normal cent. They search online, but nothing looks like it. They post a picture in a collector's forum and experts start responding. At first they think it must be an altered coin. But then someone notices the planchet characteristics. Another notices the doubling. Another confirms the off-center strike. Specialists begin messaging privately. Grading companies get involved. Suddenly the coin becomes the center of global attention. Imagine the moment this coin reaches a major auction house. People from around the world bid aggressively. The numbers climb. Media begins covering the story. Headlines announce that an ordinary penny has sold for hundreds of billions of dollars. My great history lovers, welcome once again to a journey where a simple-looking coin becomes the center of a story filled with mystery, hidden value, unexpected fortune, and unbelievable possibilities, and today we are diving into the world of a coin that almost everyone has seen at some point, but only a handful of people have ever truly examined closely enough to understand what secrets it holds. I am talking about the Liberty 1-cent 1978 Lincoln penny, a coin that was minted in huge numbers and circulated in the hands of millions of people across the United States, yet among all those billions of pieces, certain rare examples contain mistakes, minting anomalies, die issues, and tiny imperfections that transform them from a 1-cent coin into treasures valued in the hundreds of millions of dollars. And today we are talking about one such mythical piece said to be worth $558 million, a value that defies logic, yet finds its roots in the world of rare coin collecting, where rarity, condition, errors, and provenance combine to create unimaginable worth. When you hold a 1978 Lincoln penny, it feels so ordinary, so familiar, almost unnoticed. And that is exactly what makes these stories feel magical. Something as small as a 1-cent coin, something that most people would ignore lying on the ground, suddenly becomes the key to a fortune if it carries the right combination of mistakes. And the magic of coin collecting is that these mistakes are never intentional, never predictable, and never mass-produced. A single error, a single misalignment, a single wrong planchet, a single incorrect pressure setting, a single rotated die or mispunched mint mark can create a difference so subtle that even experts sometimes miss it at first glance. Yet if that exact variation happens to be one of those rare anomalies that were meant to be caught but accidentally slipped past inspection, then that single coin becomes a treasure. And that is what we explore today, the story of the 1978 Liberty 1-cent coin with characteristics so rare that dedicated collectors assign astronomical value to it. The year 1978 was not known for dramatic changes to the Lincoln cent. It was a relatively stable year, part of the long series of copper composition pennies before the switch to zinc in 1982. The mint produced enormous quantities in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco for collectors, and while these coins were intended to be uniform and perfectly executed, the truth is that the minting environment at the time was filled with challenges. Aging machinery, overused dies, misaligned presses, and punch errors created a range of small imperfections. Most were caught. Some were not. And the ones that were not have become legendary. Imagine a die used too long, its surface beginning to fatigue. Imagine a mint worker adjusting equipment but missing a slight misalignment. Imagine an overstruck coin that escaped notice. Imagine a coin struck on the wrong metal, possibly due to a leftover blank from another denomination being mixed into the hopper. These kinds of errors are the ones that give rise to the rarest varieties. For the 1978 penny, collectors have always discussed pieces with double dies, off-center strikes, missing mint marks, or even transitional planchet errors. Any one of these could make your coin rare. But a combination of multiple errors, or a unique, unrepeated one-off mint anomaly, can catapult the value beyond imagination. Collectors say that certain 1978 pennies with extreme double die obverse features show distortion around the date, the Liberty inscription, and Lincoln's profile. The doubling can appear like a shadow effect along the edges of letters, giving the coin a dramatic appearance. If this doubling is strong, clear, and confirmed by experts, such coins can command enormous premiums. Now imagine if that doubling happens to occur on a coin struck on an off-metal planchet, giving it an unusual weight or tone. Such a combination becomes so rare that only one or two examples may exist in the entire world. And rarity drives value. It drives obsession. It drives bidding wars. A small copper coin suddenly becomes a treasure that collectors pursue with unshakable determination. There are also stories of 1978 pennies struck on leftover bronze planchets from prior years, or even on planchets meant for foreign coin contracts. During that era, the U.S. Mint struck coins for countries like the Dominican Republic, Panama, and others. If a blank meant for a foreign coin slipped into the hopper for U.S. cents, that blank would produce a coin with unusual weight, thickness, or metal composition. Such errors are called wrong planchet errors, and in some cases, they have become the most valuable mistakes in the history of coin collecting. And when a wrong planchet error also carries additional anomalies like off-center strike or noticeable die deterioration, the value can skyrocket even further. now think about mint marks. The 1978 penny normally carries a D for Denver or nothing for Philadelphia. However, mispunched mint marks were still a reality, especially when the mint mark was applied to the die by hand. A tilted mint mark, a repunched mint mark, a rotated mint mark, or a mint mark accidentally punched twice could turn an ordinary penny into a rare variety. Collectors go wild over RPM errors, and experts carefully study every curve of the letter, every shadow, every doubling pattern. In rare cases, a mint mark can appear completely distorted or partially missing due to a filled die, where grease unintentionally blocks part of the design. Filled die errors, grease strike errors, and obstructed die errors can create missing letters in Liberty or even missing digits in the date, making these coins instantly recognizable as mint anomalies rather than circulation damage. Off-center strikes are another category that fascinates collectors. A small off-center shift makes the coin unique but not necessarily valuable. However, extreme off-center strikes where a large portion of the design is missing yet the date remains fully visible are extremely valuable. When it comes to pennies from the 1970s, off-center errors with complete dates are among the most sought after. Now imagine a 1978 penny struck 70% off-center while also displaying a doubled obverse. That combination could easily be one of a kind, but the story becomes even more intriguing when we talk about coins struck on transitional planchets. This usually occurs during years when metal compositions were changed, but sometimes leftover blanks can cause transitional anomalies even in years without official changes. A 1978 penny that registers a weight inconsistent with normal copper cents could be a leftover or foreign planchet error. A coin that weighs slightly lower or higher than 3.11 grams may signal this. Collectors test these coins carefully, because 1 gram difference can mean a difference of thousands or millions of dollars. Adding to all this is the possibility of broad strikes, where the collar that normally holds the coin in place during minting malfunctions. Without the collar, the metal spreads outward, creating a wide, flat coin with distorted edges. These errors are rare and visually dramatic. Similarly, double-struck coins or triple-struck coins show overlapping impressions that turn them into fascinating pieces of mint history, and then we come to the rarest category of all, unique errors, never repeated. A misaligned die that only struck a few coins before being replaced. A defective planchet with an unusual alloy. A strike-through error where a foreign object like a piece of cloth, thread or metal shaving was present between the die and planchet at the moment of striking. These coins become art pieces, relics of a mechanical moment frozen in time. Collectors go to extraordinary lengths to pursue them. So when we speak of a 1978 penny valued at $558 million, we speak of a mythical specimen that collectors describe with reverence. A coin that carries multiple extreme errors. A coin that combines features so rare that it stands alone in the entire hobby. A coin that has become part of the imagination of collectors around the world. Whether it is a reality or a legend passed between collectors, what matters is the belief that a single penny can hold unimaginable value if it contains the right mistakes. Now imagine someone discovering such a coin unknowingly. Maybe found in an old jar. Maybe discovered in an inherited shoebox filled with coins. Maybe left forgotten in a drawer for decades. The excitement of realizing that a small coin can potentially change a life creates a thrill that fuels the entire hobby of numismatics. Every collector dreams of finding that one impossible coin. Every treasure hunter imagines the day they pull out a coin and recognize an error that others overlooked, and this is why people carefully inspect every detail of their pennies. The edges, the date, the lettering, the mint mark, the weight, the thickness, the color, the tone, the sharpness of Lincoln's beard, the clarity of Liberty. Every tiny detail could hold a clue. Collectors know that the smallest difference can create the largest reward. This is the beauty of coin collecting. You are not just holding metal, you are holding history, and sometimes you are holding treasure. Migrate history lovers once again to a world where hidden treasure often appears in the most ordinary places, where small forgotten items lying in drawers, jars and pockets become the keys to unbelievable fortunes, and today we step into one of the most fascinating stories in the entire universe of American coin collecting, a story centered on the 1982 D Lincoln cent. A coin that most people completely overlook, yet one that holds mysteries, rare variations, and legendary errors capable of transforming a tiny 1-cent piece into a treasure valued at $548 million, an amount so staggering that it captures the imagination of collectors, historians, treasure hunters, and ordinary people all over the world. Now we explore how such a small coin, minted in incredible numbers, could carry within its metal the possibility of life-changing value, and why certain rare errors in 1982 make this one of the most talked about and studied years for Lincoln cents. Before we dive into the possibilities, we begin with the simple truth that 1982 was a year unlike any other in the history of the Lincoln penny. It was a year of transition, confusion, experimentation, and multiple varieties. For decades before this year, pennies were made of copper, weighing 3.11 grams with a familiar warm tone that collectors love. But in 1982, the United States Mint switched from copper to copper-plated zinc because copper prices were soaring. This one decision created an unusual moment in minting history where two different compositions were used in the same year. And because of the rapid changes, the mint produced pennies in 7 different varieties, with multiple small design details. These variations led to chaos on the production floor, and whenever there is chaos, there is also the potential for rare mistakes to slip through unnoticed. And then you have the Denver Mint, the location represented by the tiny D mint mark on the 1982 D penny. Denver had to rapidly adjust its machinery to handle the new zinc planchets, which were lighter, softer, and far more sensitive to pressure than the traditional copper coins. A small misalignment of the dies, a slight misfeed, or a change in striking pressure could create imperfections that would be almost invisible at first glance, yet incredibly important to an expert. This transition year saw coins struck too hard, too lightly, struck off-center, struck with cracked dies, struck on leftover copper planchets, struck with improperly annealed metal, or struck with mint marks that were mispunched or doubled. Any of these mistakes might create a rare variety. But one particular rare variety, the 1982 D copper small date penny, has become one of the most legendary coins in modern numismatics, shocking collectors around the world when it was discovered where no one expected such a coin to exist. Imagine a penny minted in 1982 at Denver, a mint that officially produced only zinc pennies that year. Copper planchets should have been gone. Yet a few leftover copper blanks may have remained in the production machinery. If even one of those copper blanks accidentally made it through and was struck with the small date die, then that coin instantly becomes one of the rarest modern coins ever created. Collectors have identified only a tiny handful of copper 1982 D small date pennies, and each discovery has shaken the numismatic world. Now imagine if such a coin also carried additional minting errors, perhaps a doubled die obverse, a misaligned mint mark, or a strike-through anomaly. The value would escalate beyond anything seen before. A 1-cent coin could become a treasure valued in the hundreds of millions because rarity, especially unique rarity, holds irresistible power, but the story grows even deeper when we look at all the error possibilities that could occur on a 1982 D penny. A double die error happens when the design is impressed into the die twice, with slight misalignment. This creates the appearance of duplicated letters or distorted digits in the date, producing that famous shadowed effect. For the 1982 D penny, doubling around the date, the Liberty inscription or Lincoln's eye would be enough to create a treasure. Now imagine the doubling is extremely strong and appears on a rare copper small date variety. That combination could make the coin unique. And uniqueness is the heartbeat of value. Mintmark errors also play a huge role. The D mint mark in 1982 was still punched by hand into the working dies. A single slip, a doubled punch, a tilted punch, or even a partial punch could create a rare mintmark variety. A repunched mintmark, known as RPM, is highly desirable. If the D mintmark is doubled, rotated, or shows unusual shape due to die damage, then collectors become instantly attentive. A repunched D on a rare composition coin becomes a phenomenon. And if the mintmark is struck with a filled die, meaning grease blocked part of the punch and caused the D to appear faint, partial, or completely missing, then that error also becomes extremely valuable. Now imagine the mint workers' challenges during that chaotic transition year. Zinc planchets often caused clogging in the feeder tubes. They stuck together. They jammed machines. They caused unexpected pressure changes. That means that the Denver Mint was repeatedly stopping, adjusting, and restarting the machinery. Each restart could misalign the dies just enough that the first few strikes after restart produced misaligned die errors or off-center strikes. When a coin is struck off-center, part of the design shifts to the edge, creating a dramatic pattern. Slight off-center strikes are interesting. Extreme off-center strikes with the date fully visible are incredibly valuable. Now imagine an extreme off-center strike on a copper small date 1982 D penny. That alone could elevate the coin into legendary status. Die cracks also become extremely important in 1982 because the rapid production stress caused the dies to fatigue quickly. A die crack might appear like a raised line on the coin, stretching across Lincoln's portrait or through the date. In some rare cases, the die crack forms dramatic shapes like lightning patterns or splits across the fields of the coin. A dramatic die crack on a rare variety becomes a signature feature, making that coin instantly recognizable. Some collectors pay massive premiums for coins with strong die cracks because they demonstrate that the coin was struck during a fleeting moment before the die broke entirely. Another significant error category is transitional planchet mistakes. During the switch from copper to zinc, leftover copper blanks sometimes remained in storage bins or hoppers. If a single leftover copper blank entered the striking chamber in Denver where no copper pennies were supposed to be produced in 1982, it created an anomaly that was never meant to exist. These accidental survivors of the copper era are the rarest of the rare. Now imagine that the copper planchet itself carried imperfections such as uneven thickness or improper annealing. Such planchet errors combined with the wrong metal composition would be powerful indicators of a one-of-a-kind minting accident. Struck-through errors also play a major role in increasing rarity. A struck-through error occurs when something gets between the die and the planchet during striking. It might be a piece of cloth, thread, metal shaving, grease buildup, or even a tiny piece of wire. These intrusions leave distinctive marks on the finished coin that prove it is a genuine mint error. A struck-through pattern across Lincoln's face or through the date would be highly dramatic and highly valued. If that error occurs on a rare composition coin, the combination becomes extraordinary. Some coins from 1982 also show severe die deterioration doubling, where worn dies produce fuzzy, distorted letters. However, collectors distinguish carefully between true double die errors and die deterioration doubling. The true double die is rare. The deterioration type is common. But if a true double die appears on a copper small date 1982 D penny, the rarity becomes almost mythical. Let us go further into the possibilities that create jaw-dropping value. A double-struck coin is one that slips or stays in the chamber during striking, causing the design to overlap. A double-struck 1982 D penny that also happens to weigh 3.11 grams would instantly draw worldwide attention. Similarly, broad strike errors occur when the collar fails to hold the coin in place, causing the metal to expand outward. This produces a wide, flat coin with distorted edges. Dramatic broad strikes on rare metal compositions can bring massive premiums. Now consider the role of provenance and discovery. If a unique 1982 D penny was found in an old bank bag or inherited family coin jar and later authenticated by a top numismatic grading service, that discovery story alone could elevate its value into the hundreds of millions. Collectors love stories. They love the idea that treasure hides in plain sight. They love the thought that history can sit unnoticed in a drawer for decades until someone finally looks closely enough. The 1982 year itself carries emotional weight because it marks the end of the true copper penny era. Collectors feel nostalgia for the years before the zinc transition. So a copper 1982 D penny becomes a bridge between two eras, a coin that should not exist but does. My dears, let's go to a new journey through the hidden world of American coin treasures, where small ordinary objects in our pockets sometimes turn into unimaginable fortunes and where every tiny detail carved in metal has the power to tell stories that stretch across decades. Now we explore one of those unforgettable stories, the story of the 1985 Lincoln penny, a simple 1-cent coin that millions of people spend every day without even looking closely, yet one that holds mysterious possibilities, rare errors, hidden minting mistakes and unusual conditions that can transform it from a basic copper-plated zinc penny into a fortune worth $543 million. An amount so shocking that it makes collectors, treasure hunters and historians look twice at every penny from that year. This is a journey that begins with a welcome, but soon takes you into the deep world of minting history, die varieties, transitional oddities, mint mark anomalies and unbelievable discoveries that prove that sometimes, the most important treasures are hiding in plain sight. The year 1985 holds a uniquely fascinating place in the world of Lincoln cents, even though it may seem like an ordinary year at first glance. The United States Mint was still adjusting to the more fragile zinc planchets introduced a few years earlier. These thin zinc cores coated with a thin layer of copper caused all kinds of minting issues because zinc behaves differently under the extreme pressure of striking. It dents easily, cracks more often, reacts to temperature changes and tends to create die clogging situations that copper rarely produced. Because of this, the Denver Mint and the Philadelphia Mint faced continuous technical challenges, producing more opportunities for errors to arise. The 1985 pennies might look normal to most people, but careful study reveals a world filled with possibilities: double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, filled dies, weak strikes, broad strikes, double strikes, tilted mint marks, repunched mint marks and even extremely rare transitional planchet possibilities that sometimes defy expectations. Even though the 1985 penny is supposed to be made from copper-plated zinc with a weight of 2.5 grams, the possibility always exists that leftover copper planchets or foreign planchets could have accidentally entered the striking chamber. A rare composition error is one of the most powerful keys to extreme value. Imagine a collector picking up a 1985 penny, placing it on a scale and discovering that it weighs 3.11 grams like the old pure copper cents, or perhaps a number slightly lower or higher due to a foreign planchet. That single moment can turn an ordinary coin into a national treasure. And the discovery of such a coin, especially if it contains other minting anomalies, could produce a one-of-a-kind piece worth hundreds of millions. A transitional metal error is one of the most desired and dramatic mistakes in coin collecting because it represents something the mint did not intend to produce. A coin made from the wrong metal is a living piece of minting history, a direct result of someone failing to clear out the old blanks or accidentally mixing materials. If even one 1985 penny exists on the wrong planchet, its value skyrockets instantly, but composition is only one part of the story. The true excitement in 1985 comes from the incredible variety of possible minting errors. A double die obverse is one of the most prized errors collectors search for. This occurs when the design is accidentally impressed twice onto the die with slight misalignment. If such doubling appears around the date, the Liberty inscription or the letters in the motto, then the coin becomes a treasure. Strong doubling can make the digits appear shadowed or stretched, giving the coin a striking appearance easily recognized by trained eyes. Now imagine that strong doubling appears on a coin with a rare planchet error. That combination could be priceless beyond imagination. Mint mark anomalies also play a major role. In 1985, the Philadelphia Mint did not use a mint mark, but the Denver Mint used the D mint mark, and the way this D was applied at that time opens the door to rare mistakes. The punch used to place the D into the die was manually applied before the mint later switched to machine-engraved mint marks. Manual punching always comes with the risk of errors. A mint worker could accidentally punch the mint mark twice, causing a repunched mint mark. The D might appear doubled, tilted, shadowed or partially overlapping itself. Even a slight shift in angle or pressure could create a unique mint mark variety. A collector might notice that the D looks thicker, thinner, crooked, stretched or oddly shaped. These small details can turn a penny into a priceless artifact. A repunched mint mark on a coin that also carries another error dramatically increases value, and then there are die cracks, one of the most visually striking types of errors. When the die becomes stressed or damaged, cracks appear, and these cracks show up on the coins as raised lines because the cracked section allows metal to flow through. These cracks can be tiny hairlines or major dramatic breaks across the coin's surface. Some extend from the rim to Lincoln's portrait, creating patterns that collectors call lightning strikes. Others run across the date or mint mark, giving the coin a unique personality. A 1985 penny with a dramatic die crack, especially one that forms an unusual pattern, could attract serious attention from collectors. If that die crack appears on a rare variety coin, the value multiplies. Struck-through errors also hold a fascinating place in the world of the 1985 penny. Sometimes grease, cloth fibers, metal shavings or tiny fragments get stuck between the die and the planchet during striking. This leaves behind strange marks, missing design fields or deep impressions. A struck-through error might make part of Lincoln's face appear distorted or wipe out a section of the design entirely. These are extremely valuable because they show clear evidence of an unexpected foreign object interfering with the minting process. Large, dramatic struck-through errors are especially rare on zinc coins because the softer metal often absorbs more severe impressions. A dramatic struck-through pattern combined with a mint mark anomaly or double die would make a 1985 penny incredibly desirable. Another type of error is the off-center strike. Off-center coins occur when the planchet fails to sit properly inside the collar during striking. The design shifts to one side, leaving part of the coin blank. Slight off-center strikes are common, but extreme off-center strikes with the date fully visible are extremely valuable. Now imagine a 1985 penny struck dramatically off-center on a rare planchet or with visible doubling. That coin would immediately become a historic treasure worth astonishing amounts. Double strikes add another layer of rarity. These occur when a coin is accidentally struck twice because it was misfed or remained between the dies after the first strike. The design overlaps in strange and fascinating ways, producing patterns that collectors love. A double-struck 1985 penny with even a minor additional error becomes a major prize. And if such a double strike happened on an unusual planchet or with doubling on the date, the value could reach unimaginable levels. Broad strikes and partial collar strikes also appear, though more rarely. These occur when the collar that normally shapes the coin's rim malfunctions. The metal expands outward, creating a wider, flatter coin with unusual edges. A broad-struck 1985 penny with a rare mint mark anomaly or a transitional planchet error creates a combination that collectors would fight for. Die fill errors, also called fill die or grease-filled die strikes, occur when grease collects inside the recessed sections of the die, preventing details from transferring onto the coin. This can cause partial missing letters, weak inscriptions, or distorted designs. If the word Liberty appears faint, or if parts of the motto seem missing, or if the mint mark looks incomplete, then this may be a filled die error. On a 1985 penny, this kind of error becomes especially interesting because zinc planchets often caused more lubrication and debris buildup than copper, increasing the chances of filled die situations. Now imagine all these possibilities combining. Imagine a 1985 penny struck on a leftover copper planchet weighing 3.11 grams with a dramatic double die on the date, a repunched D mint mark, a major die crack running across Lincoln's portrait, a struck-through pattern over the motto and a slightly off-center alignment. A coin like that would be one of the most extraordinary minting accidents in modern history. It would be completely unique. And when a coin is unique, its value cannot be predicted by normal market rules. Wealthy collectors compete fiercely for items that exist in only one example. Museums want them. Private investors want them. Auction houses promote them aggressively. And this competitive demand drives the price sky high, leading to the kind of multi-million-dollar valuations we describe, but the story grows even more intriguing when we imagine the path such a coin might take over the decades. Picture someone in 1985 using that penny without a second thought.